Welcome to Forbidden Texts. What you are about to see may shock you. It may surprise you, but will definitely challenge everything you thought you knew. Stick around until the end to discover the forbidden knowledge that they don't want you to have.
Do you ever feel like you're walking through life awake in a world that's still asleep? Like you're tuned into a frequency no one else seems to hear? It's not glamorous. It's not blissful all the time. In fact, being spiritually awakened can feel like carrying a heavy truth in a world that worships illusion. You see through the noise, but it isolates you. You feel the pain, but you can't always fix it. And the very awareness that's supposed to set you free often leaves you wrestling with struggles most people can't even begin to understand. Welcome to Forbidden Text, where we uncover hidden knowledge and forbidden wisdom. Here's the paradox of awakening. What's supposed to liberate you can also weigh you down. The more you wake up, the more you see how disconnected the world is. And that awareness, it's not for the faint of heart. But here's the thing. On the other side of all this struggle lies something rare, something few ever achieve, a life that feels raw, real, and deeply meaningful. And by the end of this, you'll understand why it's all worth it. But first, let's dive into the struggles that awaken the awakened. Number 1, feeling like an outsider. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like an alien among people who seem perfectly at home? That's what it's like to be spiritually awakened in a world that runs on autopilot. You see through the surface level conversations, the distractions, the masks people wear, and it hits you. You're not like them anymore. Not better, not worse, just different. You try to engage, to connect, but your mind is elsewhere, on universal truths, deeper questions, and the bigger picture. And the more you see, the harder it gets to relate. Suddenly, relationships you once depended on feel hollow. Conversations that used to entertain now exhaust you. You're awake in a world that feels asleep, and it's isolating. The hardest part, realizing that so many of your connections were built on mutual illusions, shared distractions, or shallow foundations. And yet, despite the pain, there's no going back. Once you see, you can't unsee. Number 2, emotional overload. Imagine feeling everything. Your emotions, the emotions of others, even the energy of the spaces you walk into, all at once, like a tidal wave you can't escape. That's the reality of heightened empathy, the double-edged sword of being spiritually awakened. Sure, it's beautiful to feel so deeply, but when you're constantly carrying emotions that aren't even yours, it's exhausting. You might find yourself walking through life as an emotional sponge, absorbing other people's pain, frustration, and chaos. Someone walks into a room angry, and suddenly, you feel like you're on fire. A friend's sadness becomes your sadness. You're carrying not just your weight, but everyone else's, and you wonder why you're so drained all the time. It doesn't stop there. The more you feel, the more you care, and the more you care, the harder it is to look away from the world's suffering. Social media feeds, the news, people's stories, they don't just tug at your heartstrings. They tear right through them. And before you know it, you're burning out, emotionally fried from the intensity of it all. But here's the catch. This ability to feel so deeply is part of what makes your awakening so powerful. It's your gift and your curse, and learning to navigate it without drowning is one of the greatest challenges you'll face. Number 3, reconciling materialism and meaning. What happens when you wake up one day and realize the things you've been told to chase, money, possessions, status, don't hold the meaning you once thought they did? It's a gut punch. On one hand, you're striving for spiritual purpose and fulfillment. On the other, you live in a world that demands practicality. You still need to pay the bills, eat, and function in a system built on the very materialism you're trying to transcend. And that creates a constant tension. You start questioning everything, your career, your goals, the very way you spend your time. How do you find purpose in work that feels meaningless? How do you stay authentic in a world that's obsessed with hustle culture and consumerism? The struggle to balance these opposing forces can feel like a battle for your soul. At the same time, stepping away from the pursuit of more can leave you feeling alienated. Society celebrates those who climb the ladder, collect trophies, and display their success. And when you're not playing that game, it's easy to feel like an outsider, or worse, a failure. But deep down, there's something richer to life, something beyond the endless cycle of working, spending, and repeating. The challenge is finding joy, meaning, and spiritual fulfillment without rejecting the reality of the physical world. It's not about renouncing all possessions or abandoning financial stability. It's about redefining success on your terms and creating harmony between your higher purpose and the practicalities of living. But getting there, that's no easy feat. Number 4, the desire to fix everything when you wake up to the deeper truths of life. It's like seeing the world's brokenness in high definition. You can't ignore it. You can't unsee it. You notice the pain in people's eyes, the dysfunction in the systems we live under, the suffering that's woven into the fabric of existence. And the urge to do something about it can be overwhelming. You want to heal, to help, to fix everything. But the truth is, you can't. This is where compassion fatigue sets in. The more you care, the more it hurts to see how much needs fixing. You try to carry it all, and it's crushing. You throw yourself into helping others, but there's always more pain, more problems, more people who need saving. And at some point, you realize that your endless giving is burning you out. Then there's the savior complex, that internal tug of war between wanting to make a difference and understanding that you're not here to save the world. It's hard to accept, but awakening doesn't give you superpowers. It gives you clarity, and clarity comes with the harsh reality that some things are out of your hands. The real challenge is learning to let go, to accept that the world is a mix of light and dark, broken and whole, and it's not your job to fix it all. Awakening isn't about taking on the weight of the world. It's about knowing when to step in and when to step back. And sometimes, the most compassionate thing you can do, for yourself and others, is to stop trying to control the uncontrollable. In fact, the deeper you go, the more you're forced to confront your own shadows, the parts of yourself you've ignored, denied, or hidden away. Awakening doesn't make you immune to darkness. It shines a light on it. And that can be terrifying. You realize that the path isn't about transcending pain or bypassing struggle. It's about walking straight through it. It's about owning the messy, uncomfortable truth that awakening doesn't erase your flaws. It amplifies them, dragging them to the surface so you can finally deal with them. And that's where the real work begins. But it's not just your inner darkness you have to face. You start to see the duality in everything, good and evil, joy and sorrow, creation and destruction. The world stops being black and white, and you're left navigating a sea of gray. And as much as you may want awakening to feel like a constant state of bliss, you quickly learn that growth is painful, healing is a process, and enlightenment isn't a destination, it's a lifelong journey. The truth is, awakening demands that you embrace the darkness as much as the light. It's not about defeating your shadows. It's about integrating them, making peace with them, and realizing that they, too, are part of who you are. It's messy. It's hard. But it's also what makes the path so real, so raw, and so deeply transformative. Number 6, losing and rebuilding relationships. Spiritual awakening can be the ultimate relationship disruptor. One day, The people you thought you'd walk through life with, family, friends, partners, suddenly feel like strangers. It's not that they've changed, it's you. The shift in your perspective, your priorities, and even your energy can create a rift that's hard to bridge. You're speaking a new language, one they might not understand, and the conversations that once bonded you now feel empty or forced. It's one of the most painful parts of awakening, realizing that the connections you cherish don't always survive the transformation. People may accuse you of being too different, too serious, or too out there. Some might feel threatened by your growth, mistaking your evolution for judgment. And then there's the quiet drifting apart, where no one says anything. But suddenly, the calls stop, the invites fade, and you're left wondering what happened. But here's the thing, awakening doesn't just take relationships away, it makes space for new ones. When you lose people who can't meet you where you are, you eventually find others who can. These are the ones who resonate with your frequency, who see the world through a similar lens, and who challenge and support you in ways that feel authentic. It's not about replacing your old connections, it's about finding your spiritual tribe. The pain of letting go is real, but so is the beauty of discovering relationships built on depth, understanding, and shared growth. Losing some people is inevitable, but rebuilding your circle with those who truly align with your soul, that's the kind of connection most people spend a lifetime searching for. Embracing the journey, spiritual awakening isn't an escape, it's an invitation. An invitation to see the world, yourself, and others for what they truly are, no matter how messy, beautiful, or broken that truth may be. And while the struggles are undeniable, so is the gift hidden within them. Every challenge, every moment of isolation, every shadow you confront is shaping you into something more raw, more real, and more alive. Because here's the secret, the struggle itself is what awakens you. The discomfort of being an outsider teaches you authenticity. The emotional overload shows you how to set boundaries and care for yourself as much as others. The tension between materialism and meaning pushes you to define success on your terms. The desire to fix everything forces you to accept imperfection, and the battle with your shadows brings you closer to wholeness. But even the relationships you lose guide you toward deeper, truer connections. It's not an easy path, and it's certainly not for everyone. But for those who are brave enough to walk it, the rewards are immeasurable. Awakening isn't about reaching a state of bliss or perfection. It's about embracing the full spectrum of life. It's about feeling deeply, loving fiercely, and living authentically, no matter how messy or complex the journey may be. So, as you navigate the struggles of awakening, remember this: every step, every stumble, every tear, and every triumph is shaping you into the most authentic version of yourself. And in the end, that's the real gift, the freedom to live as you truly are, awake and alive in a world that desperately needs it.